everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to do my November TBR. How is 2021 almost over? That just hit me like so fast. What is happening that I'm already doing my November TBR? Anyways, this is a super ambitious TBR because there's just so many books that I want to read before the end of the year, and so now it's getting into that crunch time. We have only a couple months left in the year, right? So yeah, I have a bunch of books that I don't own physical copies of, and then I do have a pretty big stack of books that I do own right next to me. Let's go ahead and just jump on into this TBR. I have a few random books that I have just been dying to read for so long, so I just put them on this TBR. We'll see if I actually read them. But let's see. The first one is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I think this is a friends to lovers romance. It's one of the few Christina Lauren books that I feel like most people really love, and it sounds like it's something pretty different, especially from their more recent rom-com releases. I believe this is definitely a more serious book, and I've just heard that it's a beautiful romance, so I stuck it on this TBR. Next up we have Annie's Song. This is by Katherine Anderson. This is a book that I recall Jen from the Book Refuge, I'll link her down below. She raved and raved about this one recently in one of her wrap-ups, and it just sounds like such a beautiful historical romance. I've definitely been neglecting that subgenre recently because it's spooky season, so I've just been reading more like paranormal, but I do want to read some historicals again because I just adore that subgenre so much. And from what I understand, it's about our main character Annie, who does have some kind of mental disability. This has a pretty heavy plot from what I understand, and yeah, I've just heard phenomenal things about it, so really excited about that one. Then we have Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. You guys, I feel like at this point it's a crime that as a romance booktuber I have not read anything by Sophie Lark. Oh my god. First of all, she's a very prolific author. I feel like she's almost constantly coming out with books, and pretty much everybody that I follow just loves everything that this woman writes. I haven't seen anyone actually give any of her books less than 5 stars. So yeah, I know that she writes primarily mafia romances. She most recently came out with the first book in a duet about a serial killer, which I'm really intrigued about as well. But I think I want to start with this book. This is book 1 in one of her like earlier series, and then I want to eventually get to the spin-off, which I think is the Kingmaker series. Yeah, there's some other books that I really want to get to of hers as well, but I thought that this would be a really great starting point. I know that this, I believe, is either an arranged marriage or a marriage of convenience. It's also a hate to love story, and yeah, it just sounds fantastic. So then we have Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty, I believe is the author. This is, it sounds like a domestic mystery thriller, and I know, was it made into a movie or a TV show? I can't remember, one of the two. It was definitely adapted into something, but I've just heard really great things about this one. It sounds like it's one of those books that's gonna have a lot of drama and tea, and it sounds like it surrounds this neighborhood and all of the people in it. And yeah, it just sounds like something that's right up my alley. I love these kinds of domestic and dramatic thrillers. And next up we have His and Hers by Alice Feeney. So this past month, or was it? No, in September, I read Rock, Paper, Scissors, which is Alice Feeney's most recent release, and I absolutely loved it. And I was talking to somebody on Instagram, and I can't remember who it was, but they said that if I liked Rock, Paper, Scissors, that I have to read His and Hers. It sounds like this is also a story about a married couple, and with thrillers I really don't need to know much more than the very basic setup, so I hope that I love this just as much, if not more, than Rock, Paper, Scissors. Alright, I think that's it for books that I don't physically own, so let's get into this massive stack. Next to me, I have 3 historical romances that I'm really excited about getting to this month. The first one is The Governess Game by Tessa Dare, and you guys know how much I adore this woman and everything she writes. This is going to be my first time rereading this book. Of course, I've read this book before. Come on. But yeah, this is my first time rereading this book because I reread The Duchess Deal, which is right here, back in April, I believe, and so I've just been kind of slowly but surely rereading this Girl Meets Duke series. Hopefully The Bride Bet comes out maybe at some point next year. Please, book gods, bless me with The Bride Bet, please. But yeah, this one is, I think, I don't know. I want to say it's the funniest of the series, but The Duchess Deal and The Wallflower Wager are also insanely funny books. But what I really loved about this book was the two children involved, because our hero is Chase and he has these two young girls that are his wards, and they are just like hilariously morbid little girls. And it also involves Alexandra, who ends up being their governess. Hilarity ensues, great romance ensues. Yeah, so really excited about rereading this. Then I am reading this little duet by Lisa Kleypas. The first one is Then Came You. The audiobooks for both of these books are coming in really soon from my library app, Libby. So really excited to finally read this book. I actually started this back in like May or June. I was reading it physically, and I saw that I think new versions of the audiobooks were coming out in the next few months, so I just decided to kind of hold off on reading this until those audiobooks came out. And then, yeah, the other book in this little duet is Dreaming of You, which is like most Lisa Kleypas fans' absolute favorite Lisa Kleypas book. I am definitely hyped for this one. I definitely have high expectations as well. I really loved the setup for this one. I remember that it was about this woman, Lily, and she just loves like shocking London society. And the hero is Lord Wolverton, and he is just like her opposite in every way. And he's vowed never to fall in love, and he just doesn't even know what to do with Lily. She's just a very headstrong woman, and he doesn't know what to do with her. But I really loved the setup. It sounded like there was, like, she had a really big secret from her past. And then, yeah, Dreaming of You, I know that Derek Craven, the hero in this one, is just like everybody's book boyfriend. So really, really excited about reading this one as well. So let's just jump on into other books that I have on this TBR. We have the new Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. This is one of the books that I featured in my 21 books I want to read in 2021 video. I will link that up in the cards above. I only have 4 books left to read off of that list. So I'm going to read 2 this month and 2 in December. But this is the last nonfiction book on that list that I have to get to, and this is about mass incarceration and in the age of colorblindness. I know that this came out around 2010-ish, something like that. This sounds like this is a classic nonfiction book to read if you want to educate yourself about the topic of mass incarceration, which is something that I definitely want and need to know more about. So really looking forward to this. It's definitely kind of a chunky read. I think I'm gonna get the audiobook. Audiobooks help me a lot with nonfiction books. So yeah, really looking forward to that. Then another book off of that same 21 books that I want to read in 2021 is It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I read one other Colleen Hoover earlier this year, which was All Your Perfects. Really loved that book. My goodness, the woman writes very heavy and very emotional romances. I know nothing of what this book is about, and I don't want to know. I just know that a lot of people that love Colleen Hoover, like, this is their favorite Colleen Hoover book. So really, really excited about that. I'm pretty sure this is one of Jess's from Peace Love Books, like top 10 favorite contemporary romances of all time. So really, really excited about that. I feel like I'm saying the exact same things about all of these books, but of course I'm excited about all of them, right? Next up, we have The Archived Duet by Victoria Schwab. So the first book in that is The Archive. This is a really interesting story. From what I understand, our main character is what's known as a keeper, and that's essentially a librarian for ghosts. And her job is to keep the most violent of ghosts from getting out of this like ghost library. I don't really know like the specifics of this plot, but again, with this kind of creepy story, I don't want to know too much going in. And then the second book is The Unbound. So from what I understand, this is a duet that probably should have been a longer series. I think Victoria Schwab just stopped writing for the series. Maybe her publisher didn't pick up a third book. So I'm curious to see if this second book has like a concrete ending, or if it's a cliffhanger or anything like that. From what I understand, most people say that it's fine to read as like its own complete series, but just that it should have been a longer series. So really interested in that. Then, oh boy, we have the entire Serpent and Dove trilogy by Shelby Mahurin. So the third and final book, Gods and Monsters. Oh, I just love these covers. This third and final book came out, I believe, in July or August, and It's been 2 years, first of all. It's been 2 years since I've read the first book, Serpent and Dove. And then last year I read Blood and Honey. So I was reading these books as they came out. And I just remember this series being kind of complex. And I'm really worried that if I don't reread these 2 books before jumping into the 3rd book, that I'll be really confused. So that's what I plan on doing. I'm gonna reread these 2 and then jump into the 3rd one. I'm just gonna hold up Serpent and Dove. But this is a series that I'm not quite sure how I feel about it because I adored book 1. I really enjoyed book 2, but it did feel like a filler book. And then, I've heard like mixed reviews of Gods and Monsters. So I don't know. I've heard a lot of people give that book like 3 stars, which really worries me because, I mean, don't we all just hate series that start off really well and then end kind of badly? Like, ugh. So I'm a little bit scared, but I loved this first book so much that I hope that the 3rd and final book really delivers. All right, we have just a few books left. The first one is The Girl in 6E by A.R. Torr. I have read a book by this author before. It was just like a domestic mystery thriller. This one is more of an erotic thriller novel. I remember that it's about Deanna. She is a cam girl, and I believe she's also either a psychopath or a sociopath. And like one of the reasons why she's a cam girl is because she doesn't let herself go out in public because she's worried that she'll kill people, that she'll hurt people. But this is a series of 3 books, so I'm sure the plot is so much more than that. At the end of the synopsis it says, so after 3 years, Deanna finally leaves apartment 6E, and this is what happens. Then we have Wolfsong by TJ Klune. Oh my goodness. Why has it taken me this long to finally read this series by TJ Klune? I already know that I adore everything that I've read from the man because I've read Under the Whispering Door, House in the Cerulean Sea, and his Extraordinary series. Adored all of those books. This is definitely different though because this is a paranormal romance series. It's kind of a chunky book too. But from what I understand, this is a very epic romance and it's male, and I believe both main characters are werewolves. Definitely one of them is, and I think both of them are. I think this is also an age gap romance. And I've just heard nothing but phenomenal things. I know I'm gonna love this. Why do I do this to myself? I know that I'm gonna love certain books and I just like hold out on reading them when I could be enjoying them right now. What is wrong with me? I know I'm not the only one that does that. Like, leave a comment if you also do that. I think there's a term that somebody on Instagram came up with called like book edging. Like when you know you're gonna love the book and you just hold off because you don't want it to be over, essentially. I don't know. But anyways, last but certainly not least is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I've just heard so many of my bookish friends rave about this romance novel. From what I understand, we have a very, very grumpy hero. This was marketed as Reylo fanfiction. So like Kylo Ren and what's that character's name? I don't know. It's from Star Wars. I've never watched Star Wars movies. Like, don't kill me, but I've never watched Star Wars. I plan on doing that soon though, because I do have Disney Plus, but yeah, I haven't. So apparently this was marketed as Reylo fanfiction, but I've heard from a lot of people that it really isn't, except that like the main character's name is Adam, like Adam Driver, and he looks like Adam Driver. And that's really it. And I know that the hero is like a really grumpy hero and there's fake dating involved. And I believe he's a professor and she might be a grad student at this university and they're scientists. And it sounds like something right up my alley. So I think I'm probably gonna love it just as much as all of my other bookish friends. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this November TBR. I would love it if you would leave a comment down below telling me about some of the books that you are planning on reading in November. And with that being said, I would love it if you would leave a like and subscribe. And I thank you in advance if you do. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.